because today is a very fun day. We are going to talk about how to build relationships and track said relationships online with spreadsheets. As you know, I love spreadsheets. So fun. So we are in week 4, and this is this and planning. Planning comes out today, but that's the last of the essentials. And I want to make sure you guys had this before the new year started so that you at least had access to the essentials, because that is what I promised you when you joined this crew. So welcome, and let's get started talking about what it looks like to manage leads. This also includes some lead generation, and I've actually had some new ideas for you all as well to kind of like create things since I've made this presentation. So you're gonna be getting some old, some new, all of the above. Now, the first thing that we want to be thinking about when we are talking about managing leads is thinking about who would be an ideal customer and who would be a perfect fit for the product that you've created, aka your offer. Who would be the best person to work with it? You. Then we're going to get into why it's important to oversell. Um, One of the things that I think is one of the actually like the three critical things for a business to scale are consistency, constraint, and communication. Those are like the 3 C's. And we're going to talk about how to have more of that consistency and oversell, create a protocol around it. We're also going to talk about like how to do cold lead outreach. And what that will look like for the majority of you all is creating a way to build your audience. So there are 2 things that we want to be doing. We want to be building and growing your audience, and we want to be nurturing and serving your audience. Those are like 2 different skills. So when we talk about cold lead outreach, this is going to be about like finding new people to come into your community. And when we talk about the hot and warm lead nurturing, what I mean by that is making sure that people who are already in your space, making sure that they are interested, keeping them up to date, and checking in with your community. So these are questions that you do not have to answer right now. I'm just going to kind of like use it as a point of reference for you to brainstorm. But I want you to really think about what makes you the go-to expert in your field. Okay. So why are people coming to your coaching business specifically? What is it about you that makes you stand out as an expert? And you might be thinking, Megan, it's like, I'm not an expert. Or like, if you're thinking that kind of like in a way, that's where I was at the beginning of my business. I was like, why would people come to me? Like, it's like, what made me different? And I said it in a way that felt disempowering, for lack of better words. Like, when I actually do want you to ask yourself, it's like, why do people come to me? What makes me different than any other person in the industry? Why am I a different life coach, career coach, financial coach, like whatever? What makes me stand out? Why am I different? And I'm actually working with people who are my ad person is helping me with copywriting. And this is something that we have actually spent a lot of time considering. Because I think that a lot of us kind of like start these businesses as kind of like like it's just something we're passionate about, and it just kind of like flows organically. And we're like, okay, like this is something I'm passionate about. I really like doing this. It's something that's like a need. But I want you to think about like your business as like you've now started this business and it's almost like becoming a movement. We want you to think about like, okay, now we're going to be really intentional about these businesses. We're going to build them. And we want to think about like what kind of people are coming into your movement. If you can think about yourself in that scale, like if you can think bigger and be like, okay, I'm an expert now. I'm seeing myself as a larger leader in a community. Not only are the next couple of customers that are coming in to work with you or clients, not only are they going to be way easier to bring in, but it's also going to be this mindset that like is it will bring in even more people, right? So it's like, if you're thinking about like, okay, my goal is just to sign, not just, but like, I just want to sign one client. Why do I need to think like this? And it's more so because we want to become these leaders in order to do, like, you might be doing the same exact things. You might be doing the same kind of posting, but the energy that you're coming from is going to be different when you think of yourself as a leader and as an expert. Does that make sense to everybody? Like that, like, so it's like, we want to think about that. First off, how can you become that kind of a leader? And then what are the things and the qualities that attract your best fit customer? So you can think about like, who am I serving? Let's say it is like, yes, it's like, this is like the mindset before the tactics, it's like, so we want to get into this mindset of like, I'm a leader, I'm an expert, and like, what is it that midlife women are drawn to me for? Like, so it's like, who do you serve and why am I like a lighthouse to all these people? Like, why am I bringing them in? And then you can also think about like, what specific problem do you solve? And even if it's the same, like, I literally learned that there is another Six Figure Systems, the exact name, Six Figure Systems, out there. There's a lady who has helped 5,000 people. And I was like, wow, that is interesting. Good to know before I start a podcast. And I was literally just like, but people came to me instead of her for a reason. They might have been looking up systems. She sounds like she does something not the same, but similar to what I do. And so I'm like, why the specific problem, getting really clear about that with your pillars, and then being like, why do I solve the problem in a way that lands? Like, you guys came to me versus somebody else for your business coach. Why? What made me different? Your people are going to be the same way. What makes you different? It's like the psychology behind marketing and selling is like, just what are the kind of things that you can be bringing to the table that make you different, make you stand out. And then like, how are you serving your people? It's like the way that like you can be like, this is all virtual. It's for a certain amount of time. You will get these results that are intangible, but we're very clear about these. Those are the kind of things that you want to be like answering for your clients, and being like, how does like having online support serve? Like, let's say we work with busy moms, it's like, how does that help them? And again, why are you specifically the best person for them? You want to think about like, I've been through it too. It's like, that's usually how it all starts. It's like, I've been able to figure this out and I know I can help you too. So I want you to think about that. And then I want you to think about where they are. And I have online here or physically. What are the places where they hang out? If these are my ideal best people, are they more Instagrammers or Facebookers? Do they like podcasts or do they like this? It's like, when we think about that kind of a thing, that's what we want to be thinking of. Timmy asked a great question for the how do I serve? Is that the fulfillment side? Yes. So there are two questions that you want to be answering. You want to be talking about why. Why? Do you guys see that? Like, every time I do peace signs, they're just balloons. We're celebrating. Like, I love it. When you think about how you serve them, those are your pillars, along with like the actual tangible side of your business. So like, you could be like, I serve you online, I serve you one-on-one, you will get this amount of time with me, we will get served online. So it's like the actual like tactics of like your coaching program, and it's also um the intangible things as well. I know the AI feature, I can't. I'm like, but I love it, and I'm not totally not changing it. Also, if I do my thumbs up, I get like a little bubble. It's fine. Everything is fine. So just like be pondering your people, and we always want to be thinking about them. So here's the thing that I've seen at every level of business. What I think happens, and this happened to me at the beginning of my business, and it was just so interesting, is like, we think that like, if we just like over deliver and do an amazing job for our people, they'll just like keep buying. That is like, okay, so it's like, I've got one client, this client will probably be with me till the day I die. And for me, this is how I am as a consumer. It's like my coach Jackie has not been able to get rid of me. Like she works with yoga businesses. She like has tried. We've been working together since 2018. And I'm like, I am never gonna leave you. It was like, I'm so sorry. You really helped me and I'm just gonna be there forever. However, it's like not everyone is like me as a client. It's like just because that's the way I am does not mean that it is the way everyone is. And I want you to know that, like, if people don't resign, if people aren't rebuying, it doesn't mean that you did a bad job. So one of my first clients I loved, and I thought for sure she was going to resign. Like she was getting such amazing results. She was doing great. And we got to that resigning call and she was like, I'm actually good. And I was like, what? And it was just like, I just felt like, I was like, but that's not how I did it. And like, it was, I took it really, really personally. I want you to know, please don't take it personally. It's not about what you've done. They got phenomenal results. It's just that they want something else, and that's totally fine. And their current needs are just met. But what happens is when we have that expectation come into the next piece, that like everyone's just going to buy forever, we don't actually have consistent business. Because what happens is not only do we have like single purchase customers, but a lot of times what happens, even at like my level, people will stop halfway. People will do the first month and then they will leave. People will ghost you. It's like very random. And so it's like if we have that expectation, we're going to talk about projections and how to actually like make sure that you know when your empty slots are coming. But it is really tricky when you're like, okay, like I filled up these. It's like I kind of planned on having you until August and you're gone. And so it's like you want to make sure that you are like making up for that in your mind and you want to make sure you have consistency. So the reason why I'm like bringing in new leads is really important and or nurturing your leads is that like we can get kind of in this state of like, yeah, things are good. Like I've got all the clients I need. I'm feeling great. Everything is fine. And then random stuff happens and it'll be like, I lost my job. My husband lost his job. We have to stop. All these random things will happen. Nothing has gone wrong. It doesn't mean that you are doing a bad job at all, but we don't want to be relying on other people. We want to put all this back in your control. So we want to keep reaching out to more leads and bringing more people in always. The other thing that you want to do is you might be missing new people. So a lot of times what I see is we kind of just get like complacent's not, it's a harsh word, but it's like not, there's like a softer word for it, but we just gotta get like in a routine. We're like, oh yeah, I just post and I do this and I don't really need to worry about like reaching out to people and consistency. And I do it all the time. And when you're just kind of like feeling good and you're like, yeah, I'm just coasting. Coasting is more so a better word. It's not complacent. You just like kind of coast and you're like, yeah, like things are going good. But what happens is when you have a current audience size, whatever it is, they there are going to be people that follow you for like forever that will buy from you. In fact, in my one-on-one that I had this morning, we've been talking about her business for 2 years. 2 years. And she finally started working with me like a month ago. But there are also going to be people like we want to replenish your audience too. And you're also growing and shifting as a leader as well. So we want to bring in people who are like where you're at right now. Like a lot of the people that I have that are following me were people from college and high school and when I was teaching. So it's like they were like my audience is great and I want to bring in new people that are actual business owners that want to work with me too because I've grown and I've changed to be a business coach now. So that's what we want to do. So it's like, if this is the problem that we see, if we see all this inconsistency going on, how do we solve for that? And what we want to do is we want to just be constantly nurturing and managing and meeting new humans. We always want to just like kind of be bringing people in as much as we possibly can and nurturing who we have. So the thing that I've also found, and I was actually just when I was in Savannah, I was talking with a couple of friends, and we noticed that some people who we know well, a lot of times, like, we won't hear from them until it's time for something to like a launch. And I did it too. It's like I would literally like not talk to people. And then I'd be like, by the way, I'm doing a webinar. By the way, I'm launching something. Please buy from me. And as a consumer, being on the other side of that, like it doesn't feel good. It's like it doesn't feel good that like it's like, okay, it's like you only care about me when we see dollar signs. And I know that's not this person's intent. And it was never my intent. I was just like busy and I was coasting and I was like, it's like I'm tired. I want to just chill, which is fine. That's why we want to make something that's also very easy to do that you can do consistently without it feeling like a big like pull. And also when you do this consistently every single day, that you can, every single week, it doesn't feel like a big ramp up to get to talk to people. It doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, this is this big thing I have to do today. It feels like, oh, this is just this thing I do all the time. And that level of routine also is going to really help your brain and your nervous system and your subconscious to be on board with it because it doesn't always feel good to like talk to people, especially online. Like, it can just feel like kinda like awkward at the beginning, and then your brain's like, "I hate it." And so it's like if instead of making it something that is like really awkward and out of the blue, we wanna make it something that's consistent and easy to do to take care of your audience and help your new people too. So, a lot of times, like I mentioned before, the biggest thing I see people not doing to meet more leads, and it feels uncomfortable. I know it sounds crazy. They're like, but it can feel weird sometimes when you don't have when you're not in the right mindset and feeling like you're in a lot of service, it can feel really awkward. And if this is something that you like do once, it's going to feel really awkward. So that's the reason why we want to create the consistency around it within your business. The other thing is that we think that people are going to judge us and feel really negatively about us. So we don't want to be judged, so we don't put ourselves out there at all. Now, you guys might have seen by now, probably, you might have gotten some messages from random people who don't know you at all. They're like, if you want 50,000 followers, click here. You know what I'm talking about? And I think that's like a huge fear for a lot of us that are like, oh my God, I don't want to be that person. This is not at all that way. And again, everything that I teach you is not, you can take it or leave it always. These are just what I recommend for the things that help people grow the fastest. And I want you to know that you are listed as a business on whatever social media platform you are on. So when you get messages like get 5,000 followers and things like that, I think we think that it's the norm because it happens to us because we're targeted as business owners. But we actually are like the majority of people don't get messages like that. Like my mom does not get messages about like get a bunch of followers because she's not a business. So one of my clients said she likes to think about is like the business tax. It's like, oh, you are going to get calls. It's a business tax. It's like just like if you buy a new house, you're going to get flooded with stuff about like all the house stuff. Or it's like it's just like this is just part of having a business, but other people don't experience that and just to keep that in mind. So, coming back to our subconscious, it wants to conserve energy, avoid pain, and seek pleasure. So, we need to kind of like flip it on its head. And we want to think about like the thing that we notice about the motivational triad is it's very instant gratification focused. And it can be focused on yourself. You can be like, I don't want this to affect me, which is how 80% of our brain works. It's our subconscious. So, how can we reprogram that part of our brain? And the thing I came up for it was called like the accomplishment triad. So, instead of like feeling like, oh my gosh, I just want to save energy and just chill, I want to become energized by thinking about these people. I want to like actually like be imagining. And the way I become energized when I'm thinking about like outreach and things like that is I like to think about it gets me excited thinking about someone else transforming like every time. And we'll talk about what that looks like, but it's like I like to think about, oh my God, this could change their life. Like that is so energizing and exciting for me. I'm like, they are doing great, but working with me could make it so much better. and it really feels like fuel to your fire. The next piece is, instead of like seeking pleasure of like just the consistent, like saying the same, what, instead of complacency, I said another word and I can't remember. Coasting. Instead of just like coasting where you're at and being like, just chill, and like things are good. We want to like seek further success for your business. We want to think about like, okay, I really want to be, I'm not just thinking about doing this right now for where I am today. I'm doing this work so that 90 days from now, I'll be able to see the reward from this. And I'm doing this for like this whole, like every single thing that you do is everything, it's going to be compounding and will build as your year goes. So one of the things that like there was another reel that my aunt sent me this weekend, and it was about this guy, and he was like, you're pounding every day and like you are looking for the results. It's like if you pound, you want that instant gratification, like where are the people? If I just talk to somebody, they should become a client right now. But it's the compounding effects of the pounding and getting to work every day. That's what we want to focus on. And the other thing is, if you're like, ooh, I don't want to talk to people, it's like this feels weird. Instead of thinking about the pain that you would experience in that moment of like discomfort, thinking about, instead of that, avoiding regret and being like, we don't want to look back and be like, oh, I could have done more. I never want to do that for my life. It's like in just business in general. It's like I never want to be like, oh, man, I wish. It's like we want to be like, no, I put it all on the table. I did everything I possibly could. And this only takes 30 minutes a day. But the reason why I'm like harping on this is like this is the part that most people really struggle with. So again, going to the accomplishment triad, really important stuff here. Now, I coughed like once in the beginning session today, by the way. I'm like, of course, now I'm just like choking. It's fine. Everything is fine. But it's like within this says like, I'm not telling you it's gonna be easy. I mean, telling you it's gonna be worth it. It really isn't that. The thing is, it's so simple. It's like really is. It just talk to 10 people a day. It is so, so simple. The thing is, it's like the mental energy of that, it's shocking. It's like it does make it feel really hard. So it's like that's why I have it here. Like, I'm not telling you it's gonna be easy. I'm telling you it's gonna be worth it. It's like it's not necessarily something that is actually difficult to do. It's so simple. It actually honestly is very easy once you get your head out of it. It's all the mental struggle that comes with it. Comfort zone. Yes. Sorry, I totally missed all these messages. Okay. So yes, the AI feature for the Zoom. Yep, the thumbs up. Um, yeah, just getting out of your comfort zone, Tammy, that's a great point. Yes, growing your audience, growing and nurturing. It's like a combo deal. Maybe Tammy, you said maybe I don't have my stuff set up because you haven't gotten a message like that. Oh, okay, good. Just know it's coming. It will probably happen. There are gonna be people who are gonna be like, it's like, I want to get you 10,000 followers. It could be through email, like depending on when you get your website set up and things like that. I get a ton of emails like that. I'm like, how did you even find me? It's like, it's very interesting, but that is not what we're going to be doing here. Um, so here are the rules for bringing in new humans. We want to actually think about connecting with them. I know this sounds so funny, but it's like, don't be a weirdo, just start a conversation. Like, just don't be, it's like, all we're going to be doing, you're going to be like, hey, nice to meet you. I am Megan. I am here to just talk to you, and it's just normal. And I think it just feels weird because we're used to having conversations through in-person relationships, which is, Sharon, we're going to talk about that as well, because I know that's like networking things are your jam, and we want to be doing those as well. We're going to do this in person and online, and we'll talk about how to track that as well. The next one is when we're thinking about sending a second message, is we want to have a sort of connection point right away. So when you do it, you're going to have some sort of connection point. The next thing we want to do is we want to show genuine interest in them. Like we want to, again, like not for a dollar sign. It can feel really tempting. And at the beginning, sometimes it will feel like that, and that's okay. Nothing has gone wrong. But we want to be like genuinely interested in the people that are either in our audience or growing in our audience. We want to like actually find out why people are following us, like what are their goals and their ambitions, and be like genuinely interested in them. The other thing is like we want to be focusing on service first. Like Tammy, you and I have been talking for a while, like before you even started in the program. And the cool thing is like when we started the conversation, it's like I was like, oh, I could totally see you. It's like it's holding the dichotomy of like I could totally see me working with you, and I could totally see how much it could grow your business. And I also am like, let me just help this girl. I was like, she seems so cool. I think she seems awesome, and I would just want to help her to grow. So it's gonna be like you're gonna be like in your goal, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like I really want 5 more clients or whatever it is. And you're also gonna be like, okay, how can I actually help Tammy? How can I help Missy? How can I help Sharon? How can I help Jess? Like actually looking at those people and thinking about them, it really helps you to detach from your goals. Because then you just like think about them as like a future client, and it feels really fun and like coaching versus feeling like selling, you know? The other thing is, people need time to build a relationship. So this is like another thing that like when we are actually working with people, it's like we want to set a foundation like, hey, I'm just a resource. I'm an expert in this field, like starting this. And I just read it. So it's like, don't lead with buy my shit. I'm like, that's very important. We don't want to lead with that. Like, be like, hey, you should hop on a consult call right now. Like, you gotta like build a relationship there. Those are the people that you'll see that you don't like. It's like that. Those are the kind of people who try and just send you. It's like you want 5,000 followers. It's like I don't know if you guys watch Star Wars. I love Star Wars, and like there's like this guy that's like, you want any death sticks, and it's like this like creepy guy, and he's like, I don't, you don't want to sell me any death sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life, and it's like they do Jedi mind trick. Anyways, very nerdy reference, but it's like within that, it's like you don't want to be like the creepy guy that's like, you want my business? Like you want this? It's like you want to be like, hi, I'm a friendly human that can help you in your life. Let's have a conversation. I'm glad you love Star Wars too. Yes. Oh, okay. So it's like if you are starting with like buy my shit now, Tammy, that is totally fine. Totally fine. I was like, we're learning, we're growing, we're figuring it out, and it's totally fine. Yes, making their goals a priority. And we're going to talk about like how to actually like, so what's going to happen is you're going to start talking with a lot of people. There are going to be a lot of people that you're, and so we're going to talk about how to actually remember who you're talking to. This might be because I have ADHD and I'm neurodivergent, but I forget a lot of the times. Like I could have the best conversation with somebody. I'm like, who are they? What did I talk to them about? I know them. Like I know that their dog's name is Willie, but I can't remember for the life of me. Like, do they want clients? Are they looking to grow their audience? Like, what is going on? So very important. Um, and again, if this person isn't interested, have a little perspective and be like, there are, and apparently there are like 8 billion people now. I was like, don't know where I got the 6 billion people. I was like, somebody told me that last time, and I was like, I need to update these slides. But it's like, this is just the beginning. There are more people out there. And if they're like, nope, totally fine. We can just keep them in mind. Oh, but so this is crazy. So this right here, this managing lead system is how I have been able to every year I've hit $100,000 without ads. Like no paid, nothing. I just started running ads 4 weeks ago for the first time ever in 3 years. So I've had my business for over 3 years before I started running ads. I now have people at the multiple 6-figure stage that are coming to me because they aren't doing this. A way that business really used to work, essentially, if you guys have heard about ads or anything like that, from what I understand, is that there were these things that they would call them click funnels. And people used to just set up a click funnel and people would just buy, like for whatever reason. What is interesting is I created this system without having that click funnel. I didn't do any of that before this. And apparently, from what I understand, the ClickFunnels are not at all working like they used to. Like it is not, and a lot of the people who relied on businesses like that, like I'm talking multi-million-dollar businesses, their revenue has been cut in half, like literally in half, because they haven't been doing this. So I have a ton of people coming to me now that are like, how do you build a connection with your audience? They have lists of 20,000 email people and they have no idea who they are. No idea who these people are. And their revenue has been cut significantly. My revenue actually grew this year in the recession. And I think it's because I actually show people I care. I build a genuine relationship. I like am truly like, and I just got like, I did this giveaway thing. So I had like 100 new followers in like a day. So I'm like trying to reach out to them as quickly as I can. But like, usually I send a message to people when they first follow me, like, hey, thanks for following me. People are not doing this. And I think that their businesses they're seeing a direct struggle literally right now in this time. So there has never been a better time for you guys to learn this at this stage of your business instead of having to go back and learn this skill. You guys are setting this system up so that, like, let's say if I were to give you, I think a lot of people think, like one of my clients, she has a list of, I'm not kidding you guys. And I don't think I think she does ads, but I'm not sure. I actually need to ask her. But she has 13,000 followers and she has 22,000 people on her email list. 22,000. She made 10 grand last year. A lot of times people think that if you have a big audience, it's going to be in the numbers, and it does not. It absolutely does not. So that's why we also want to be building your audience as we go. So Tammy asked, do I have an automation for that? And or am I just staying on top of my new followers? I actually do all this myself. I do all this by hand, still have, and I'm potentially going to hire a VA in January. So like in a couple of days, there's this, and if you guys are interested in something like that, I want to try it myself. I never give you guys resources unless I've like tried it myself or like have a good like person that's a reputable source. But there's this service, this lady trains VAs. So it's like getting a VA certification and she has a whole database of people. So it's like a matchmaking thing. It's free. And she'll send you people based on your price range, what services they have, what do you need. So I'll let you know, but it's still really helpful to have these systems in place when you hire somebody too. It's good to do it yourself first because right now I'm teaching 3 teams to do it, like people who have a team of 4, and then there's another person with a team of 5 people. And I'm teaching now their staff to do what I'm teaching you now. So it's like you can teach someone else how to do this for you, but I still want you to do it first so you get in your flow. You see what works for you, and then other people can replicate what you're saying easier instead of them just like taking something and running with it. Yes, it's really cool. It's like it's crazy because like, and I was just like on this trip with a ton of people who I was the lowest earner for sure by like a long shot with all the people I went to Savannah with. And they were all like asking me how I do what I do. And I was like, that is really interesting. And I was talking with someone, Emily, she does ads as well. I work with Krista Couch, and I can include their information if you guys want it. But Emily, she does like for people who have like 7-figure businesses, she runs their ads. And she was saying that like she's doing something, it's like called I forget what she calls it, but she's now teaching all of her clients at the 7-figure level to do this, to talk to the people what they get as leads. Because they haven't been. Like people essentially, from what I understand it, like in the past, you could literally just start an ad and people would just buy. I'm like, I have never had that in my business. I've never had a situation where people have just been like buying. I'm like, that sounds fun. But I've actually had to do all this and like get yeah, right? Wouldn't that be nice? And I'm like, yeah, no, that apparently even for that doesn't exist anymore. So now it's all about like building relationships, actually getting to know your people, showing them that you care and things like that. Yes. Okay. So Tammy said our friend of hers has a 5K followers and has made 1.2 because she's high touch. Yes, that's the trick. It's high touch. People want to be served. They want to buy services from people that actually are serving them. I think that's been a big shift, like literally in the past like 6 months. So this is like new stuff that's important. Yes. Okay. I'm just making sure I'm up to date. Yes. Seen, heard, understood, and validated and valued. 100%. So freaking good. So we're all on the same page. And I think that like we like in our hearts, every single person that is on this call, you guys are awesome people who care a lot too. I know that it's not coming from a place of not caring. I just think it feels weird and uncomfortable. I know that it is. So we're just learning. We're getting better. All of us growing. So the key with this is we want to be committed, but not attached to people. This is something I actually learned when I went through breakup coaching 2 years ago, is like, you want to be like committed to the vision of like, I want to sign 5 clients. I want to have a 6-figure business. We want to be committed to that vision, but not attached to each individual person. So it's like, I'm committed to it's like, you can think about it like, I am committed to building a 6-figure business, but I'm not attached to Jess. Jess does not need to sign with me for me to feel complete. But it'd be great if she could, but I've got like 15 other Jesses that are like ready to rally if that happens. So here's what I like to do. And I have another idea for you too. This is the one that a lot of people have thoughts about. So you do not need to start with this, but it's the one I want to like offer to you first, is that we want to focus on audience building for half of the weekish. Depending on so I say Tuesday and Thursday. It's not an exact science. I don't follow this to a T, but if you are looking for something that's like good to follow, this is what I teach other teams to do. And those people is like Tuesday, Thursday, find new people that are not in your audience. So these could be people who have a common interest with you. So for me, I used to teach at Core Power Yoga. So I would go to Core Power Yoga and connect with people there. I also like anything that your product solves, like talk with people there. So Women's Social Club is an entrepreneurial group. And I was like, I could totally connect with people there. I can totally help those people. So that's a great resource for me to like go and find people with. I'm going to talk about like what it looks like to find people online and obviously in person. The other thing is people who have a similar education or certification to you. That's another thing that is a good place to like find humans. For me, I got certified through the life coach school. So it was really helpful for me to like look there. And or people who are just in my local area, like offline Raleigh Durham, it's like a restaurant club that I'm in. And so you can work with people in that way and gain product awareness that way. So I'll talk to you about like, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go through. So it's like the other thing that you can do for cold leads, if you want to do like cold-ish leads, you can just get to know your audience, aka like any of your followers, any of your subscribers, any of those people. You can talk to people like that you already know. That's another thing that you can do with cold leads. And I'll talk to you about like what that actually physically looks like, but these are just ideas. So start like brainstorming, where are new connections for me? The other thing that I found really interesting is that like I've got 2 other ideas for you guys as well that I wanted to add to this that's not on here. One of my clients, she said that when she first started her business, she would just connect with other people that were like related to her business. So she was actually it was Allison. She came and talked to us about the podcast. So one of the things that she did is she found another person that was like in her field, like or adjacent to the field. And so she would like just reach out to them and be like, hey, can we collaborate? Can we do an Instagram live? And like, I'll go on your Instagram live, you go on mine, and we can reach out to each other's followers in that way, talking about our product. I've done that before, and that's an awesome thing that you can do. Um, the other thing is there are also podcasts and things like that their whole purpose of I had never listened to podcasts like really before like the life coach school or like Stacey's podcast Make Money as a Life Coach. And when I listened to those, they were really informative podcasts. But there's actually a whole other kind of podcast where people just get interviewed. They just like have fun conversations with people. That's a whole format, and there's a whole audience for that. So that's another option. You could find some podcasts that are like people just want to interview someone interesting, and you can be that interesting expert and talk about your business. That's two ways to kind of like collaborate with people. The other thing is, I was talking with another one of my clients, and she works with people who are experiencing perimenopause. And she was a physical therapist and has she did like functional medicine for a while and things like that. And so she found this group, and it was just a Facebook group of perimenopausal women. And she contacted the leader of the group and was like, "Hey, can I be an expert and lead like a training in your group?" And the lady was like, "Sure." And so she's now an expert in this group, and there are 75,000 people. 75,000 people in this group. So you can just look up big groups and just be like, "Hey, can I be the expert here?" And like offer to lead a couple trainings and things like that. We'll talk about how to do webinars in through 2 or 3 weeks, but like we can create something that you can just like pop out and be like, "All right, I just would love to do this for people." That, and now she's introducing herself to all 75,000 people. She's like, "Hi, I'm an expert. Just wanted to say hi. Let me know if you need anything. Let me know if you want any specific trainings on something that I can lead in the group." And literally is just doing that every single day. She's talking to 10 people a day. It's like awesome. Yes. And so Tammy said, have your freebies ready if you want to go on podcast. That's a great idea. When we were talking about freebies last week, if you, and we'll talk about freebies. This is a good place to talk about it. So essentially a freebie for everybody right now is book a consult. That's the simplest freebie for your funnel. You got the most people here at the top that are just seeing your content and just knowing you exist, maybe your website, anything like that. And then the next level is book a consult. Then it's become a client. So you all have a freebie right now. You do not need to make a new one. However, if you are interested in making a freebie, what I would recommend is making a template. It could be a training, but I have found, and from what Krista has said, and she's worked with like a lot of really like, she used to do ads for Corinne Crabtree, who's like 20 mil, her business is like 20 million. So she's like definitely like knows how to do a funnel and things like that. She had, um, she found that it's easiest for people to opt into something they can apply in like 3 to 5 minutes. So you'll see for me, it's a testimonial template. So it's like a template or something like that. You can do like another one of my clients, she did like 4 conversations to have with your aging parent about 4 legal questions to ask your aging parent. And it's like fiduciary, like license, like there's like 4 questions that she had, like just something like that. I really, really want to do quizzes. I think they're really fun, but I have not. If anyone finds a free quiz platform, let me know, because they have to, all the ones that I found, you have to pay for it, and they're very difficult to use. But those are fun if you can figure out a way to do it easy. Um, and I have one of my clients is a nutritionist, and she's like 3 things to look for on a nutrition label. So that could be helpful. Anything like that could be a freebie as well. And you just would include like a link to a PDF or a Google Doc and be like, "Here you go." And that's a freebie. And so that's all you really need. Something super simple. We can, oh, I need to check this out. The appsumo.co. I will check this out for quizzes. But again, your freebie is currently a consult. That's all you really need. And then we can get into like list building and things like that as a strategy for sure. And that's another way that you can reach out to your humans. Are there any questions about the cold outreach? I know this is like just like where to find people, what to do. Okay. If you do, let me know. Also, in-person networking events are great. They're so great. It really helps you to be like, when you're talking to people and they're like, "Who are you? What do you do?" It was so funny. I network online pretty much until August, and I went to the life coach school mastermind, and people were like, "Who are you? What do you do?" And I was like, I And it was so funny because I was like, I talk about it so easily, but there is something about that in-person element that like you really want to get in and like talk because it's like I think everyone in here is a very personable person. And if people just meet you, then they're like, oh, I really like this human. But it's that like going out and meeting people and actually taking that effort. It's huge. So the next thing that you want to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you might need to flip the days until you actually build up your nurturing list. But what you want to do is there are people who you probably talk to about coaching. There are people who have done a consult. Oh my gosh, the balloons again. So sorry. I'm like, I do two fingers like a lot. It was like, and then this gets confetti. Like, why? Here we are. But it's like when we're thinking, actually, Jess, I think you were the first consult I had, and I did this on the consult with Jess, and literally like all these like confettis and things start popping up, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so glad that you actually decided to work with me. I was like, but also like good things. Anyways, back to the hot leads. Anyone who has been a part of the purchasing process in the past, anyone who has like participated and like worked in your like social media, if you do a poll on Instagram or things like that, anyone who joined a Facebook group, anyone who's come to a webinar, anything like that, you want to also be reconnecting with. And here's what it looks like to reconnect. So I like to say it's 30 minutes at the beginning of the day, talk to 10 people, 30 minutes to just respond to humans at the end of the day. Do I do this perfectly all the time? Absolutely not. And I'll show you mine today. I was like, definitely don't do this perfectly, but it's like it is a really helpful thing to do. So with the nurturing list, this could be anyone who's liking your posts, anyone you talk to about business, anyone who you have information about. We want to get to know them and build a relationship. So we just want to first be like, hey, how are you? For the people who are following you, if you think about your business, like social media as a virtual storefront, these are people who have walked into to your virtual store and just been like, they're just walking in. So we just want to greet them and we want to follow up with a question. So if you think about it, like we want to it's almost like giving them a conversational opt-in, like to the next level. It's like we always want to end with a question. So it's like, how are you? How are your holidays? It's like, I've been thinking about you. I miss you. What's going on? Just like something to be like, hey, I hope things are going well, human to human. The next thing, so it's like that's what we want to do with the nurturing list. You're just talking to random people and you're just checking in. You're like, hey, it's been a while. How are you? The next level would be to figure out what their new goals are and things like that. And we'll talk about how to track that. Now, for your virtual connections, this is so the nurturing list is people who you actually know and have a relationship, have slightly talked about coaching with. The connection list are all like these are the new people. These are people who you have never met with before, and you want to just start a conversation. So for all of the new followers, what you want to do is you want to, anyone who's following you, you want to start some sort of relationship with them. Be like, hey, so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for following me. Is there anything I can help you with? If there isn't, let me know. I'm here for you. But just something that you're like, hey, it is so nice to talk to you. I actually have a video that I recorded and I made it seem like really natural. Like I think I even like touched my eye and I'm like, hey, just want to check in, see how it's going. It looks like this. And I just send this out to literally anyone that follows me. I'm like, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let me know if you need anything. And I'm here for you. What kind of business do you, I think I finished with like, what kind of business do you have? I might not even. I mean, it's just like a genuine just way to connect. The important thing is here, if I say if you copy and paste, you might get flagged as a robot. What happened is in April, I had a webinar coming up. So I just copied and pasted to a list of 90 people hey, want to come to the webinar, want to come to the webinar, want to come to the webinar. There are two big problems with that. If you copy and dang it, it's like if you copy and paste, the Instagram thinks you're a robot. So I actually got my whole Instagram shut down. I couldn't post anything for the entire month of April this year. So that was crazy. Please don't do that. The other thing is, if you're like, I want to go ham and I want to talk to every single person today, you can only talk to 50 people a day. That's like the max. So don't do more than 50. If you're like, forget 10, I can do like 100 people a day. You can only talk to 50. Literally, like the person who I just signed last week, she was like, I'm going to talk to 200 leads a day. And I was like, apparently, like Alex Hermosi, someone who's a big Instagram guru said that. And like literally you get blocked. It happened to me. So don't do that. 50 people a day is the max you can do. The other thing is if you, so what I do is I send a video. It's the same video to everybody, but they feel like that personal touch. They get to hear my voice and it feels a little bit more welcoming. Another thing that you can do is you can go into their story and like something in their story. Be like, oh, cool. Like if they have a live story or things like that. So if they're private, let's say someone follows you and they're private, you can still try and friend them and message them. You're like, hey, thank you for following me. Let me know if you have any questions. It's just a bit trickier because they have to do a step and you have to come back to them. What you can then do is add just their username to the connections list, and we'll talk about what that looks like. And then you can build a relationship from there. Yes, I can post that video for sure. It was like a personal celebration. I love you guys so much. I was like, is in-person networking ideas. Yes. Okay. Sharon, if you could post that in the group about Rotary and Toastmasters, that would be awesome for other people because it's like the chat will disappear for sure. Yes. And exactly. In the video message, it can be like just something simple and you can literally just take my words and do exactly what I said. That's totally fine. Then, so it's like with the connection list, then there's a nurturing list and a connection list. There are two different tabs at the bottom of your spreadsheet. I'll show you what that looks like. If later on you're actually building a relationship, then you can offer them, be like, hey, by the way, it's like what I'm teaching the businesses to do at like the multiple 6 to 7 figure level is I'm like, hey, so nice to meet you. It's like, what is your child like? One of them is a coach for parents of children with autism. And so she's like, what is your kid struggling with? Like problem behaviors, potty training, or communication. So like someone asks for her, one of her staff members will ask that for her. And then they'll be like, hey, I have a training. Would you like that? Hey, do you want to work with me? Do you want to try that? So it's like each level, there's a different opt-in. So we're just doing this like just for you guys. You're just getting to know and meet new people. So I would recommend for everybody doing these for sure. Having this as a part of, and I call it your engagement protocol. Definitely at least talking with your former clients and your connections. What is up to you is if you want to do outreach to new connections. And this is why I said it's like go to the new people and connect with them, find a local business, common interest, certification, anything like that. Go to their followers, go to the public accounts, respond to their question with a story. It's easier once you read this, like I'm going to show you what it actually looks like. And I think it'll make more sense. And then if they respond, you can have a further connection. For the networking, for in-person networking, Sharon, like you were saying, register. Chamber of Commerce is another one that I also have joined that Tammy just mentioned. I just joined my Chamber of Commerce, but just like finding in-person events, like women's groups, like any entrepreneurial groups, like anything like that, join in those and then go to the event. And I have business cards that I put my QR code with a link to my Linktree. Or like You could also put a link to your website or something like that. If you have one of those, you do not need one of those. You can be like, hey, thank you. Like, just go to the event, collect all the business cards. You'd add them on social media, and then you come home from said event, and you can like message them and email them, be like, hey, so nice to meet you. Let me know if you're planning on going to another event, and let's talk about this. Or you could ask a further question about like their goals. It's like, I know we talked about you getting onto social media. I want to see like, do you have any questions about that? I've been doing this for a little bit and I can help you out. But you see how like casual and like normal this is? Like, I think a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to come across like creepy and weird. But this is just building relationships and being like, hey, nice to meet you. It's like not creepy nor weird. It's just like, hey, I think we both go to this. And we just want to like bring them to that next level offer if they want it. So you are phenomenal. Before I actually have you guys make your copy of the lead spreadsheet, I'm going to show you what it looks like first. So mine looks a little bit different, but here is mine. And I have a list of all these people who I have talked to about working together. So all these people, I know about their business and I have notes about them. So I'm like, they went to the Chaos to Cash Flow, notes about them. This is their niche, what they do, all these different things about them. Niece is in here, by the way, just kind of fun. So she actually converted again. I was like, I wanted to follow up with her in October. So I have their first name and last name over here. I'm just trying to like keep their privacy for you guys. And then I have notes. I'm like, hey, so what are your goals? What kind of things are you looking to accomplish before the end of the year? It's like, I know that like you want to do this and do these kind of things. 5 clients, they want to get one-on-one full, they want to make 75K, they want to grow. And I know this about all of them. Tammy, I think you were in here. I was like, as well. Yeah, here. Fun fact. Isn't that cool? So it's like it's like when we first started talking on 8/20, fun fact. But I have notes about that. And this is the last time I followed up. As you can see, I haven't talked with these people since November. Not great, but that's okay. It was like, it's been a long month and that's totally fine. So when I say like, it is not a practice, it's not something we want to do perfectly. It's a practice. And we want to keep just like having these conversations as much as you can. Do I plan on reaching out to all these people? Yes. Did I plan on having 18 one-on-one clients and 2 groups going at once? Not really. So it's like, didn't plan my time very well. But if I was doing it perfectly, I would do this all the time. You'll see, I really like, and I want you guys to be okay with that as business owners. We're going to be talking about like how to calendar your week. And there's so much pressure about like getting it perfect and doing the perfect calendar. And we want to kind of like really throw that perfectionism out there and just like do the best we can and talk to people. So that's what it looks like once you've been talking to people, once you've been nurturing people. Right now, the only people on this list will probably only be the people who you've done consults with and said, not now. Those are probably the only people that you'll actually have on this list or former clients. So these are my former clients, and I'll just like reach out to them and be like, hey, I'm thinking about you. For instance, I hope everyone got a Starbucks gift card. My card got declined halfway through because it thought I was committing fraud because I was sending gift cards to literally every human I've ever worked with. And they were like, this looks suspicious. And I was like, it's not. I'm really just like, I love my people. And so I sent these are notes, these are like just my current clients who I'm working with and former clients over here. So that's just like a way to touch base, see how they're doing. The outreach is like this, I would love for you guys to do, start talking to people. The other thing that you want to do is you want to start talking to just random people. So I would go to LCS, I would go to my new followers, and I would send them this message. So the message and just be like, hey, nice to meet you. So I'm going to show you what that looks like today to just talk to new people. And I'm going to show you what it looks like to nurture old people. I like to do this on my computer most of the time when I'm talking to new people, because I think that like it's easier and I don't get as sucked in. Okay, so what I would do if I was doing the outreach, which is, I think yours is called connections. So I can just change this. Connections. Outreach synonymous. These are new people who are not currently in my audience. I go to a familiar page. I got certified at the life coach school, so I would go to the life coach school and I would look on here for people who are coaches. And typically I look for people that have a circle around their name. For some reason, it's not letting me go further right now. Usually it lets me go a little bit further, but that's okay. So I would find a person who would be a person who I would typically work with. And I would be like, okay, this is like a cool person that I could connect with. So this person looks like they've posted a couple times. They're a new and up and coming life coach, and I could probably help them. This is a life coach I could probably help. And Italy travel expert, probably not a great fit. But let's say I want to talk with Satya Roy or something like this. Okay, so it looks like she's just started her Instagram. She just posted this on December 14th. So I could like this and be like, love. It's like, I love this. And I don't know what she's saying, but I know that she's talking about manifestation and gratitude and power, and be like, my gratitude practice is one of my favorite things. Look how cute. I was like, I could totally help her. I'm like, look at, she's like so young and fresh. I was like, I just feel like she's so precious. And I don't think she knows what she's doing on social media. But I'm like, this is awesome. And I'm like, cool. She would be a great person. And I think that based on 6 followers, having one-on-one and group coaching, probably not the best solution. So I'm like, if I were to work with her, I could really help her. So I just like start the conversation there. I'm gonna go to see if Stacy has some more live people, because those aren't great examples. Okay, perfect. Oh, I know Christine. I was like, actually, I'm doing a consult with her on in a couple days. But you want to go to someone who has a like live picture usually. And I'm like, okay, could totally help her. And if they've got a bubble around their name, I don't know why the life coach school is doing that weird thing, but usually you can like scroll through and see all the followers. Like, so Stacey's like 37,000 followers. So you can usually see all of them. I don't know why it's not doing that. You can do this on your phone as well. And I'll usually click on their story and I'll be like, yes, love it. It's like excuses make it easy. Discipline makes today hard, but tomorrow easy. It's like, I totally agree with this. So freaking good. It's like, and then I want to add a question. I didn't add a question to the first girls, but like we want to start like with a question. So if I'm looking at her page, I'm like, this is year of creation, not excuses. It's like, what kind of things are you creating this year? And to make it less weird, it's like, by the way, I think it's like we both follow Stacy. Sorry for creeping. Oh well. Then that's it. And you can like it. I obnoxiously, as you guys now know, I will obnoxiously like all of your stories and do that. That's very me. So I'll be like, but I'm like, I could totally help this girl if she wants help. I'm like, so I just start a relationship, start a conversation. And what that would look like is I would take her, copy and paste her. Here. And then I'd go back, that would be one of my 10. Then I go to, do you see how I can like follow more people? So you see how it's usually like a lot more? I don't know why the life coach was doing that. That was weird. Wandering business dude. I'm not sure if he would be a great person, but I want to look for people with like a live story that's easiest. It looks like a lot of people are not doing live stories. They're probably like getting back from the holidays. Usually it's a lot easier because usually most people have like a ton of live stories. And it'll be like a simple shift in perspective could be great. It's like, oh my gosh, love this. It's like, I shifting perspective is so powerful. And so you don't even always have to ask a question. It's like, and you can say, by the way, I think we both follow Stacy. Sorry for creeping. Hello. And like it. Something super simple, and you don't actually follow them. So I wouldn't actually follow Swetia Gupta. I hope I'm saying her name right, but I wouldn't actually follow them. I would just put their little tag here and then eventually like follow them. Like Anise, I started talking to on 8/28. Bisan, September 5th. Tracia, September 5th. So they will sometimes just come when you least expect it. Another thing you can do is you can say like all my 30 new, it's like I sent 30 new followers a video on 11/6. So that's for new connections or outreach. Tammy, what is your question?
I think you answered it. So, like you were saying, you don't follow them, you'll just send them a message and then, like, put their profile link on your page so that they can kind of stay in your hot box to keep checking back in with them and messaging them every whenever you get the nudge or whenever your pattern calls for you to.
Yep. And I would do this when I was a general life coach with like core power. And so really the goal of this is to like build your audience base and like make like eventually people will hopefully like come from that. But the goal is just kind of like to like be a really like kind of just like starting a relationship. So just like kind of like building a relationship from there. So like Anna, like she would be a person I could talk to. And it's, for some reason online, it usually shows me more because there's like 387 people. I don't know why it's doing that now, but you might have to do it on your phone. But usually it'll show you more. So you can just find random people that are what's it called? Live accounts. And those are great ways to do it. Just be like, oh, it's like love this. Love this. It's like so cute. It's like, do you go to for power by chance? I think you, it's like, boom. So just like random connections with people and like just writing it down. This is where like having like like a Facebook group could be great too. You can go into other Facebook groups and start conversations. The thing is, within certain Facebook groups, you might it might not be like unless you're the expert. Like if someone were to come in and start DMing everyone in like 6 or systems, that would not be great. Like that wouldn't be cool. I wouldn't mind it, but it's like or like in 2K or like other Facebook groups and things like that, like privately messaging people might not be super grand. So what we want to do is you want to ask if you can be an expert, lead a training or something, and then you can start like to message the members of someone else's Facebook group. And if you have a Facebook group, you can talk to your own people for sure. And that's a great place to do it. Yes, and Jess, if you want to do it all in person, that is great too. You can totally do in person and just like talk to people, and it feels super easy and it's great. Yeah, and certain
Hey,
people,
Meg,
yeah. Yeah, Mizzy.
quick question. So it might be because I've got my audio on my phone, so I'm seeing your screen super mini and I might have missed it.
No worries.
Um, Good tech issues. I'm looking at the spreadsheet, the connection list, like the people that you just, for instance, connected with on Instagram. So you're not actually tracking their names until something further happens. The people that you start having conversation with go to the nurturing list.
Yeah. So
Okay.
then the next level is I would find the next person. And actually, it was funny, this person. So that would be for you guys until you get a bunch of people on the nurture list, you might have to do a little bit more of the colder connections, and that's totally fine. But once you have those nurturing people, old clients, people you coach for free, like anything like that, then you can go into this list and you can go and you can like this person who is the first person on my list, and I don't think she would mind me doing this with you guys. She actually just tagged me in a picture on Instagram. So she is a coach for artists, and she helps artists to get their art out there, and she calls it like the weird art productions. And so it's like just like really out there, like cool art. And I'm like, cool. I'm like, that seems neat. And so I would just like go to back to a person that I already have talked to and be like, I was like, OMG, that party looks so fun. How have things been going? I feel like it's been months since we've talked. And you can be like, I'm so sorry things have been so busy. These could be like old clients and be like, I just want to, I miss you. How has it been going? Anyone who comes, like, so it's like Anise, it's like we did a consult way back in the day. This is a person who I met at the mastermind, and actually became a client. So once they become a client, I move them down on the list typically. But it is really helpful to see how long it takes to convert a person too. So you can be like, oh, okay, like 3 months. That's really helpful for me to know. And this is something that like even the people who I've talked to that have larger businesses that are not in what's it called? That are not in your they weren't keeping track of when the last conversation was, and they have multiple people that are doing this now for her, and it kind of became a mess because there were like multiple people messaging them at multiple times. We had no idea how long it took for someone to go from like a cold lead to a hot lead. So those are all really important things to add. But I love this. These are really great questions. Are there any more questions just yet? There probably will be. They're probably like coaching on things like that.
I don't have a question, but this is just super helpful. My husband's in sales and this is what they do, and it seems so obvious, and I just have not been doing anything like this. So very useful. Thank you.
Oh my God, of course. And I think it's like, okay, so like it was interesting. Like, so, and I know that like many of you guys know Stacey, and so that's the only reason I'm like bringing this up. But one of the things that she says is like, she says there was, or somebody, it was either Stacey or Brooke or somebody that was like, let people come to you. You know what I mean? And like that was this like huge thing that people were talking about. And what I think that she meant by that was like energetically let people come to you, like be in an energy like, hey, if you want this, like great. But literally in at least Stacey's messaging, she says, meet people, tell them you're a coach and offer to help them. And so this is how you can actually meet people and keep track of the people. Because I was like, I love that. And I need a system for that. And it was like, okay. So it's like, I'm going to actually like make it something that I can do really quick, just 30 minutes a day when I'm being good about it. Again, I haven't been good for the past like month, so don't judge. But it's like one of those things that like it's really like the kind of like business I want to lead is someone where like everyone like actually like gets a message from me, like actually feels seen, actually like feels that like connection with me. I really want to make that a priority. And now I'm like learning how to do it at like a bigger level, which is kind of cool. So very, very exciting. Okay. So if you guys want to take a moment, minimize me and the Googles, go ahead. I'm going to post it. Yes, it's like, why wasn't I doing this? I know. It's like, it's a whole thing. It's like, it makes it easier. If you guys want to do it together too, that's why we made that spreadsheet. Like the first time it feels really awkward. And if you guys want like awkwardness loves company, so it can be fun. But go ahead and click on, go down to the lead tracker template. Would you like to make a copy? Why, yes, I would. We're going to do that. And then yours looks a little different, like I mentioned. So it's just first name, last name, date added, last follow up. If you want to, you can add another column. That could be like goals. You want to? I have an example here. So if you click to the tab that says connection list, that's there. This is for consults. The third tab over is for consults. So it says first name, last name, date, follow up. And so you can start, just look back at this year and see who you did consults with and that kind of stuff. The fourth tab at the bottom is if you do a webinar, you want to collect those people's information. Anyone who comes to a webinar or presentation that you do, after you do the webinar, move them over to the nurture spreadsheet. So at that point, we would consider them a warm lead. They've opted in at a high level. And if you decide to start a Facebook group, collecting those humans too. Any questions about the lead tracker and its entailments? Excellent. Now we're going to make sure it's saved in your drive. So next to the little star, click on the folder. Go to your Six Figure Systems Google Drive. We're going to make a new folder. You can call it managing leads, lead generation, whatever, but I like to put a 4 in front of it for like to keep it all in order. And move this document there. Then if you want a list of all the things that I was just saying, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, go down and make a copy of the networking protocol. You can add, like for me, I'll send people specific messages before a webinar and things like that. So you can add that to this list if you want. Take out the word copy of. Save it to that number 4 lead generation folder within your Six Figure Systems folder. And you are good to go. All right, go ahead and come on back to me. Man, I need to get better at teaching for you guys. I usually teach so quickly, but I just have been taking my time with you guys. I promise it will be faster as we go. But I want to hear who would like some coaching today. Tammy, start us off with a win. And let's get to it.
All right, my win is doing a consult today after coming off of 4 days of feeling having the flu. So like I even showed up and literally like 10 minutes in, my sweet husband brings me my shot of Dayquil.
Oh my God, I love it.
So yeah, I showed up and I was able to get through it. And kind of a mini win inside of it was that this was a repeat client. So like I had worked with them before, and then we'd gone for a period of time where they were like, no, they were good. And then they reached out to me
Mhm.
themselves. So that was
Love
kind of
it.
cool. They chose not to resign so far. And I'm like, I'm good with that. Cause like I don't want to coach people into coaching with me. I don't want to convince them to have to coach with me.
Mhm.
So this person chose not to, and I was like, cool, pray about it, press in. It sounds like you know your next steps to take. It's just a matter of you doing the thought work to not be lazy about doing those next steps.
Yeah.
And he was good with that. And I was like, okay, cool, you know. So that went really well, I think.
You.
Yes.
I love that. What would you like some coaching on today?
I think for me, it's getting back into momentum from being out of it. Like I feel very behind the eight ball. Um, I feel like
Mm.
after being sick and then like missing time because the guy's school was closed, and it's challenging to get childcare in where the area we live in. We don't have any relatives or anyone near us like that. Um, and so getting back into it after feeling out of it, and then also like feeling this pressure of having to get everything organized yesterday, and it's like everything hitting at once,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
not what to attack first, if that makes sense. Like I kind of want to do the head in the sand ostrich thing, and like I even this morning I was like, I should just go hire a boss. It'd be so much easier.
Yeah.
And then tell
Right.
me what to do.
So I actually want to give you like 3 different forms of coaching right now. There's like so much here, but I think that everyone, so this is really, really, really great. I wheezed. Could you guys hear that? That was ridiculous. So the first thing is when you work for somebody else, the behind the eight ball pressure feeling, I think has served you up until this point. I
Yeah.
think that like you've always worked well with people who have given you deadlines. You might have had bosses in the past that have given you that kind of experience. And what I want you to know is that you are now, for everybody, you get to run your business. You are your own boss. Building a business from pressure creates a business that you resent.
Yeah.
So it's like instead of being like, I'm behind, and you said it twice. That's why I was like, it's like behind the eight ball, behind, or it's like you actually said behind the eight ball, I think twice. Like, so I'm guessing that's a thought that's going on in your head a lot. And I want to offer that as a business owner, you get to choose where the eight ball is. And instead of being like, I'm behind the eight ball, being like, I'm on it for right now. What are the kind of things that are on your to-do list that you want to actually like do?
Well, I want to be able to do the content mapping. I want to organize my drives. Like I have a ton of memes that are on my phone that I want to get everything just organized digitally as well as like mentally. And then
Mhm.
also physically, like if you were to see my desk, it's like, oh, collapse of papers, tidal waves could happen at any point and I'd be under a pile of papers. Um,
I totally get that. But I think that this thought, like, so it's like you just kind of want to feel on it. You just want to feel good. You want to feel like good at where you're at right now, which
yeah.
seems so reasonable. And anyone who isn't your coach would be like, that seems like a lot. Like, it's like, oh, she wants to get organized. But I think it's creating so much pressure on you. And if you think I'm behind the eight ball and you're feeling this pressure, like your brain thinks it's a useful thought. But what are you actually doing when you think that thought?
Distracting myself probably.
Suffering slash distracting yourself. It's like
Uh,
you're kind of like catastrophizing, like, oh my God, I've got so much to, like, or is it like just like kind of like being like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. That's what I do when I
It,
feel
it almost it's almost like I think I just stop at the buffering. Like there have been a couple times this morning where I was like, okay, I'm gonna clean my desk. That's the one thing I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna show for the consult. I'm gonna clean my desk. Um, And then it's like, okay, so I can see some of my desk. I've made some headway, but not, it doesn't feel like it.
Mhm.
So it's almost like it's become my own distraction in and of itself, and I don't get past that.
Yeah, it's kind of like this spin
Yeah.
cycle, and it's like just very stressful, like
Hmm.
a feeling. And so it's like this thought I'm behind the eight ball, your brain thinks it's gonna help you to get ahead, but you actually undermine your ability to get ahead. So,
Hmm.
which is like, oh, okay, brain, thank you. This thought has served me in other frames, but this is not going to help me at this stage in my life or business. And
Right.
if we think about like, this is, I want to build a business that's super stressful all the time. Like, and so when we have, it's like almost like when we have this goal to get everything organized and get everything ready like this, we want to do it from a place like where I'm at is already really good. Like where I'm at, the level of organization I have is good enough. It is working. My business is going fine. And I have this goal to make it even better. Because right now it's like kind of coming from a place like where I am is bad and it's not going to be good in the future. Like, it's like, because it's like, why is it so important that you get organized and content mapping right now?
Um, because I feel like then I could actually, if I was organized, then I'd already be in the process of doing the content mapping. There would be nothing stopping me from setting up my 7 posts for the week on Monday. So then that gives me the rest of the time on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to be able to reach out to people, to network, to be creative. Because that's like the other part of it is like I drain myself in the busyness of stressing and distracting myself that I don't get to the creative part of putting together helpful trainings or
Okay.
doing the creative side of what I do. And
Mm.
then in addition, like I have client fulfillment and admin fulfillment, and then
Mm.
coaching our fulfillment for my current clients.
And so what I realized is I was like, I was like with all the people who I have to reach out to that you just saw, literally like all these people that I would like to reach out to, and all the admin that I would really like to do. I'm like, for this month, it's kind of fallen by the wayside, like a lot. And I'm like, I see where I'm going. I see that I'm going to get really organized and I'm going to actively work towards that. And I'm also okay with the fact that I've been like sick and the holidays have happened. And like my business is like it's fully functioning right now. It's going okay. And it's gonna get even better soon. And I've got a plan. It's like so my brain is like, I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. Like it's like, your son is gonna go back to school. You're not gonna be sick forever. So in the meantime, just allowing yourself to be like, okay, I know that I am going to content map. I can see a future where I am going to be organized and I don't need to stress about that right now. Like I'm going to attack it one thing at a time. And right now, like I haven't done my self coaching. I had to cut a lot of stuff out just so I could like actually rest and function as a human. I'm like, that's okay. I'm like, I'm okay with that right now. And I can see it like, especially like right now, I think you're seeing a lot of opportunities with like the networking and like, oh my gosh, I need like you're getting more to-dos when you already had a lot of to-dos. And it's
Right,
like, I think your brain is just like, I need to do all of it right now. And it's like,
right.
I will. That's why I'm doing this program. And I also have like 5 more months to get on it. I trust myself and I know I'm going to figure this out. And I don't need to have it all figured out right now. How does that feel?
It it feels good, but then even like thinking that it's like, okay, but I've been saying a lot of that already to myself. And if I keep delaying, if I don't take action, then what will change? So
How
it's
about
like it's become a to tell myself that, and I don't have to be master of it all. I just get one or two things to pick up and apply. Um, then I'm able to do something with it. But like it kind of feels like it's um fawning myself, if that makes sense. Oh,
Yes,
let me
100%.
have to chill myself out, but I'm also not handling the core issue.
Okay. So I totally hear what you're saying, and we'll make a plan and a timeline. I just don't want you to handle the core issue from here, an activated stress state.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we can choose to handle the issue for like it issue. Those actually, do you see how even the language? I need to handle the issue. Like there is a big problem. That's going to keep you in an activated state, and you're not going to be able to problem solve as quickly. And I think it's going to keep you in this distraction cycle. Versus being like, okay, it's like everything is okay. I'm calm, I'm grounded, I'm curious, and I'm open. I'm good right now. And let's think about like, okay, so it's like, when do you want to get all this stuff organized by? Let's like set a date.
Okay. Okay. So like if I were to give myself like 2 months in terms of the digital cleanup.
Or even a month. It doesn't have to be that long, but it's like, okay, so it's like, when does your son go back to school?
He goes back to school on the 4th.
Yeah, so that's when we in North Carolina go back to school too. So I'm like, okay, so we've got a week. Let's like give yourself some time to like chill and enjoy and like maybe just push out content as you can. He goes back to school next Thursday. So
Mhm.
let's go and like let's just like from here, let's just be like, okay, we're gonna be from here until January 4th, my business is gonna look like it has up until this point. Then January 4th, what do you want the first thing to be? It's only 2 days. So maybe we focus on the week of January 9th or January 8th.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna do a webinar on the 29th of this Friday. Um,
Oh, this Friday. Okay.
yeah,
Awesome.
little guy, we both lucked out and have daddy at home. So daddy's watching my
Awesome.
um so I'm able to do a little bit of stuff. So like as you're talking, I'm kind of seeing where I can be reaching out to people on Instagram who are in some
Hmm.
similar financial groups that I'm in. Um, and then, like doing that, using that sheet that you shared with us in that context, and then doing my carousel post and my like coming up with maybe some more reels depending on how I'm feeling to film a couple of reels and stuff like that kind of stuff I could do.
So let's say from January 29th to or December 29th to January 7th, this is the plan. We're gonna do the webinar on the 29th,
Mhm.
and we're gonna just kind of like know that, and as you're doing this, what's called your reticular activating system is going to work and thinking about this content calendar.
Yeah.
It's thinking about that. And it's like, okay, so we're going to get the content calendar. And on that day, you can set aside time, block out your calendar, and try to content batch. And do that now ahead of time versus like trying to like put it like off. And what you can do is you can call somebody in the group and be like, hey, who else wants to content batch on the 8th? Let's do that together. And you could have it like be like a phantom friend and like do that work together and like try and see how that goes. So that way you still have an appointment, but you don't have to like, because I know that's how I function best is like when I have like an actual appointment helps.
Right.
But
Right.
I think that like being like instead of your brain be like, it's never gonna get better. It's like, okay, brain, it's gonna get better in 2 weeks. We're gonna do the best we can. Not even 2 weeks. It's like, how many days is that? Less
Yeah.
than 2 weeks before January 8th. And then it's gonna get so much better. How does that feel for you though?
Feels a
Does
lot
that
better.
feel more like, okay, yes, I'm gonna push through until then, and I'm okay with that until then.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels a lot more doable. And when I think about it too, even at night, I could kind of be laying in bed, and when I'm doing whatever, instead of scrolling, I could actually be organizing my
Drive.
my cell phone pictures and stuff.
You and I, girl. I'm with you. But I'm like, it's like, so do you see, and I think the reason why you're able to access even thinking about that is because you're feeling a little bit safer and grounded. So when you're deactive, then you're like, oh, I actually do have some time here, and like I can do this. But if you continue to put that pressure on yourself, it's not going to feel that way.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you think about it, if you're like with your kid sick, child out of school, running a business, this is the A line. But I want to think about like how you want to think. Like, what do you want to think as you go through this? Instead of being like, I'm behind, I'm behind, I'm behind. What do you want to think intentionally?
My clients are waiting to hear from me. My prospects are waiting to be signed. I get to make myself available for them. People need what I have to offer.
And whenever you think you're behind, what do you want to think instead? I love these thoughts just in general, but specifically about this, like, because your brain is going to want to go back there.
Yeah. So instead of thinking I'm behind, um, to think I'm on time feels like a stretch to go from
Maybe it's just
behind to right
like
on.
I've made a plan and I'm figuring it out. And it's like I've made a plan and I'm gonna figure it out. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's like it's almost like it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. It's that thought of it's okay to fly the plane as I build it.
Yes, I love that. Playing as I build it. How does that feel instead of panic or pressure?
Yeah.
What is that emotion now?
Um, it's a lot more peaceful. It's not so frenzied.
Yes. And guess what? You're gonna be able to do this a lot faster when you're from that place. And you just notice the pressure is gonna come up, and it's like, I'm choosing to build this business with peace. I'm choosing to consciously build this in a way that feels better than it has in the past. And
Yeah.
you might go back there and it's okay. No, nothing has gone wrong. But that was so, so good. I know that all of us are probably like having similar thoughts. So amazing. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
How are you? Are you feeling complete?
I I think so. I'm just kind of going, oh no, I got to figure out the technology to get myself organized on my phone.
It's like, okay, and then, but see, then at least it's productive. Instead
Mhm.
of ostrich head in the sand, like now at least it's like, okay, how can I make this happen?
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a better headspace, which is good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Fine.
Thank you.
Sharon, how are you feeling today? Bring it, girl. Also, I know that we've got like 10 minutes left of scheduled time. I actually have until 3:30 my time, which is 30 minutes after our call. Feel free to, if you have to go, that's totally fine. I love you. And if you want to stay a little later, you are more than welcome to Jess and Missy or post in the group. That would also be great. Sharon, go ahead and start with a win.
Okay, my win is I had my first consult with my pillars and it went really well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What was the outcome of said consult?
So there's a follow-up scheduled for tomorrow.
Awesome.
So that leads me into I have two questions, and I'll try to make them brief.
Yeah.
So my first question is what I found during the consult. So more so when I was making the plan based on what she told me. So I went ahead and I do think the thought work is very important for all of us, and that kind of connects to everything, all your other pillars. I mean, that starts with everything, just kind of like what we went through. And by the way, Tammy, I feel you and I'm there too. So I went ahead, and even though she wasn't so stressed, but it's more, I could tell like her, I could tell more, there was thought work to be done is the easiest way I could say it. So I went ahead and outlined her pillars, putting that one as like number 2. And her first one is time management, because it seemed like she had 2 that she rated in with a number 2, basically.
Mm,
And so my question is, when you're making their plan, and I know it's like, I looked at it as I'm going to do whatever I think is best for the client, but I know like from an organization standpoint, I need to make sure like we're focusing and we're working on this, and then we're focusing and working on that, like the next thing. I'm struggling a little bit because I'm in my particular pillars, they all kind of combine, one helps another one. So like, of course, your thought work helps your stress or whatever it is you're dealing with. In her case, she wants to become an entrepreneur.
on.
And it helps, of course, with your time management, your work-life balance, and also the long-term plan, which is another one. So I would just like advice or guidance into, I kind of see like, this is how I'm looking at it. I want to focus on I want to focus on each of these. I do know how they're tied together, but given this is 2024, I would think, even though I have her long-term plan, basically as the third thing we're going to work on, I think an outline at the very beginning would be kind of helpful, because then the other items will kind of align to that. So does that make sense? Are you following?
Oh, of course. And so
Okay.
essentially, like what you're saying is that like you want to start your time together with a long-term plan, even though she ranks stress and time as lower than the long-term plan. But you're like, I want to hit on the long-term plan to make sure that we're planning the time and stress appropriately.
Yeah, and it's basically, I think, I mean, her first one, my first priority for her was going to be time management, because
Yeah.
just based on the conversation with her. However, I do think the thought work and the long-term plan kind of ties into that. So it's just finding that right balance. And since you've worked through the pillars more, I was just looking for
Yeah.
guidance.
Yeah. So it's
You know, what
like,
you would suggest.
so essentially, this is a thought that I want to give everybody about sales and about marketing. Is selling and marketing in and of itself is like really just like believing in someone's transformation. So when we're thinking about, and I know this is like different, you're like, what are you talking about, Megan? But like, stay with me, okay? So it's like within this, it's like we want to think about this person, okay, with their long-term plan. I want you, I think you could sell stress first, or you could sell long-term plan first. There's no right way to explain the plan on this call. You just have to have the level of conviction and belief that whatever you say is the right thing. Does that make sense? So it's like, if you are like, here's what we're going to do. When we start working together, we're going to hit the ground running in 2023, and we're going to do a quick cover of your long-term plan, because it's going to affect the way that you manage your time, and it's going to affect the way that you are able to manage your stress, because we're going to have this future version of you to come back to. Even if she ranked a long-term plan as like a 7, right? It's like, this is why I think it's the most important thing. And this is why I see this for you. Like, it's like, if we were doing a consult, I'd be like, Sharon, I know that you see yourself becoming this entrepreneur. And that's actually why we need to hit this first. I know time management you actually ranked lower, but this is what I see for you. And just like whatever you say is just like having conviction and being like, this is my best guess for you right now. This is exactly what I think would be best for you. And that goes for everybody. So it's like, whatever you are on the console and you're giving that plan, it's about like, your thought needs to be, this is the best first step for her. If that makes sense. So now that I said it, like, what's coming up, it's like, do you like, so it could be, it's like, if you think the long-term plan at the beginning is the best thing, hell yeah, let's just tell her that.
Well, for me, it went well. Like, I went ahead and, like we talked about, we covered the first category, and then I went into basically what my system would be a solution, and utilizing her words, so that, and went back and forth. And she felt like she was heard, and she felt that that would be a good path for her. And then where I struggled a little bit is because our conversation went a little bit long, so I went ahead and I did go over the long-term plan, but I sent the one, basically the 1 through 4 categories. I sent that in an email as a follow-up. So she had the notes from the consult. What I was just looking at as far as when you are, yeah, I think to your point, that's what I'm going with is I think this is the best. It's just, I think what I'm struggling with a little bit, and like Tammy was, is like, you know that all of this needs to be done, and where do you start first?
Yes, yes, exactly. Like, so it's like when in the consult, making sure you hit all the things. When you work with her, you hit all the things, and also in your business in general, like hitting all the things. And what I'm thinking for you on the consult, the biggest thing to hit on a consult is being like just communicating that plan in a way that she feels the trust. Like, oh, this seems like the best plan. For you actually coaching her and working with her, it's like whatever you think, it's like making sure you hit all the things. It's like we want to make sure you're hitting the long-term plan, whatever you think is best plan for her in that moment. And then in your business, it's like what's the most prioritizing like the most important thing. Why and if you went, does that make sense as like which to do first with them? It's like there's no right thing to do first, it's just the thing you choose to make right,
Right, correct.
you know? Like I think your brain is like there's a right step and just like whatever you choose to make right. And I'm telling you like if we want to have a right answer, it's like just making sure that like you actually convey the plan in a way that helps her.
Right. Okay.
Conveying the plan. So for the follow-up, what I would do you know what you're gonna do on the follow-up?
She's looking to make a decision, and so
Yeah.
we're gonna, yeah.
This would be, I would be like, okay, what are your reasons why for committing to coaching right now?
Mhm.
And what would be reasons why not? What would be like a good, like, why is this important for you right now? And I want to make sure that you're making this decision in the best things that like make sense for you. And you can be like, we're gonna have a relationship no matter what. No, we're like, I'm so excited for you to start this business. I just really think I can help you start this business. As a person who is just starting her business, I know there's so much that I know that could be really helpful for you right now. That's my perspective, but I want to hear what you think. Like I feel like the career fulfillment roadmap is like this is the perfect time for you to do this, but I want to know what you think. How does that feel?
Yes, I think that feels good.
Awesome.
Okay, and then my next question is I think I am, as you know, I do a lot of the people I'm in person meeting them, and I'm not that far along on social networking. So, and I'm trying to learn, I mean, I'm learning it here, but I'm also trying to learn, I tried to learn in YouTube videos and stuff like that too. So I was just kind of curious. I have a website and I have my cards and I have my networking. And my next step is my LinkedIn, but and then I'm looking at Instagram. What I'm looking at is there's a learning curve with all of these. And so it takes some time. So I'm open to others who'd like to share that knowledge and make my learning curve a little bit shorter.
Yes. And also like if you guys want a content batch together, please do that. It makes it so much easier. It was like Tammy literally is like, yes. Like if you guys want to like plan times to like meet, be like like what I do is I have a link that says availability and I just like put it in and I'm like, does anyone want to meet? It's like book a call and we can meet and we can just like get work done. You can get it calendared. That can be great. And I think that would be awesome for you guys to just have this community together. I was like, yes, literally, like, that is what this group is for. It is to have like best friends that are going through all the craziness of content batching and like all this together. So, yes, definitely do that. And also just take your time with it. If it's one post a week, that's great. I took on, so it's like I started just by doing Instagram, focused on one. you could always build from there. So LinkedIn, if that was the first thing, go with LinkedIn. And I actually added on LinkedIn, and I like tried to make time for it in my day, and you can look at my calendar. I have LinkedIn engagement and outreach. So it's like I plan to do that. And with all the new humans that I have taken on, it's been like, oh no, don't have time for this. So I literally, I don't have time. I have time to reach out to my people on Instagram. And I was like, okay, we're just gonna reel it back in. I will do LinkedIn outreach, and it's not gonna be right now. So it's like you can always like take on things and be like, I'm okay with like trying new things and taking on things that might feel a little inconsistent. And I can always back off if I want to, not feeling like if you commit to like 7 posts a week or something, you can always change your mind. It's just that we want to think about the minimum baseline for each of those platforms and just being like, okay, what's like the smallest amount I can feasibly do and like build up from there. So like even if it's 1 post a week where you could hit all things and be like, let me tell you with my story, I created this protocol and it's kind of a testimonial in and of itself. That's also great. Just like take it one step at a time. And you've got this. How does that feel? Bye, Des. Bye, Jamie. I love you guys. I'll see you in the new year. All right. Sorry, I saw them saying goodbye. How does that feel, Sharon?
I think it's good.
What as you go through this, I know it can be really overwhelming. How versus overwhelming? I don't know what the word would be. Overwhelming, Tavy said pressure. How do you want to feel as you build this business and add these things instead intentionally?
Something that I'm always coming back to right now is what the action I'm taking coming from a place of love or coming from a place of fear. And that is basically what I go back to each time. So if I'm feeling like in love, sometimes it's love for yourself to not beat yourself up if you're not doing all that you think you should be doing. So I always kind of reset my mind and come back to that fear of love. So
what can you like think to bring yourself back to that place of self-compassion and also love for your people? What is a thought, like a mantra you can like always come back to?
the thing that first comes to mind, and I was trying to think of something better, but everything is figure outable.
I love that. Thing is figure outable.
I can't claim that that's Marie Forleo, but yeah, I like that phrase.
I love it too. And I'm like, we can claim it for today. And I'm like, I love that. And I am so proud of you for like all collaborating together. I think that's going to be really helpful. That's exactly what I did when I first started my business, just like being like, okay, somebody help me. I was like, I need to figure this out. Can somebody, and I'm like, even now, I'm like, can someone teach me how to do Zapier so I can actually figure out some automations for stuff? I'm like, reaching out. That's why you paid for a mastermind, is for this connection, for this community. So it's like, use these, like you guys get to use each other as resources to connect with and bond with and create these awesome businesses together. So I love this. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Are you feeling complete? Are you feeling good?
I'll get there.
I love it. Amazing. I was like, that's the willingness to go for it is all we need. I love it. Ew, sorry, gross. Thank you so much. I was like, and reach out if you need anything in the future, and I've got you. Missy, what do you have for me? Start with a win.
Okay, actually perfect, because my win I think is going to go into my ramble / hopefully a
Excellent.
question.
I love it.
My win is that I did one of my grid of threes, I did my static post about my program, which is
Awesome.
cool. And more so that I did it at probably a B level work instead of A plus, which is really hard. So that's my win.
I love it. Now, it's like I wrote B level love. I was like typing and talking, two
I like
challenging
it.
things.
Okay. So what am I coaching on? I've kind of changed my mind 12 times. It's something to do with the fact that I still feel like the
Wait,
pillars are helping me
wait,
think.
sorry. I was like so random. I was like ADHD in full force. You guys just got a full moment. So sorry. Okay, what is it? What would you like coaching on? So sorry.
No problem. The pillars are helping me feel more clear on like, okay, here's what I might think about posting. I still, thanks, Tammy, don't feel like I know who I'm talking to. I still feel like I'm talking to everyone instead of anyone, and I'm feeling like I just want to. It doesn't feel, you know what I mean? Like I look at your marketing or Stacy's marketing, like, oh, they're talking to me. And I try to do all the tricks, and I just never feel like I'm talking to anyone in particular.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release a bonus module a little sooner for you guys. And this is just like what these are things like that you can look up and you could be like, what are some things that my person is Googling to try and solve? Is it how old are they? Like, what is it, this kind of thing? Like, I think that could be helpful. This is a little bit, this is from a program called Online Coach Accelerator. It was something that was discontinued, but I really loved it. And so you can get like demographics, psychographics, think about your favorite client. What are their 3 biggest problems? And like actually taking some time for this wouldn't be, I would say would be worth your time. Like what would be the kind of things that could like keep them lying awake at night? That these are things that you could be asking yourself. And then the last one is like an interview that you could think about like what are where do they spend time on social media? This is from again that program that was discontinued, but like this could be really helpful for you to just ponder and think about. However, I don't want you to go in. It's like this thought, I don't know who I'm talking to. Even if you go and do all these fun worksheets that I promise I'm going to release to you, if you have this thought, I don't know who I'm talking to, it's even as you're doing that, it's going to be a difficult process. Like kind of like what I was saying with Tammy, it's like you could do all the things, you can do all these worksheets and things like that. You can organize things and it's still going to feel frustrating if you're doing it from a place of frustration and pressure. So it's like if you think about that thought, it's like I don't know who I'm talking to. How does that feel?
Frustrating.
Yeah. And I was thinking like it almost like I feel like it feels like lost. You know, it's like
Oh yeah, that's fair.
like it's just feel like it's like I'm just imagining like someone's um there's like a Charlie Brown Christmas is like a movie that my family likes to watch and it's like hello in there. It's like literally like this kid's like who is there? So I want you to know that I don't know who I'm talking to is actually just a thought. What
Good
if
point.
it's just, now we're going to get clearer about it, but what if this is optional? That we don't have to be like, I don't know who I'm talking to. What if you can choose to believe I know who I'm talking to and I'm going to get even clearer as time goes on?
I like that. That sounds great.
You know, it's like I know somewhat. It's like this has been a call of like really good like middle ground. Like it's like I think everyone's just like instead of moving from like limiting to like it's like we're gonna talk about this like later on, but it's like there's like a low value or a low energy cycle, there's a high energy cycle, and what I like to think about in between is an empowering cycle. So it's like, right, we're just shifting you a little bit closer to a high value cycle or a high energy cycle and making it like slightly more empowering. So it's like, I know someone, the person I'm talking to, and it's going to keep getting clearer as it goes on. Some people call it a bridge thought.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone is like, I think Tammy, Sharon, I think both of you guys have bridge thoughts. It's like, it's figure
Yeah.
out, it's not good, it's not great, but we're getting there. But how does that feel instead of frustrating?
It's today for me, this is the call of obvious things that I need a coach to show me.
Yeah, okay,
Which
so
is
maybe it's like, but it's like that's like that. It's like I want you to feel like I want you to feel instead of frustrated and or lost, whatever you're feeling, I want you to feel like maybe like clear and maybe curious. It's like I want you to
Yeah,
be like,
it's
okay, I've
curious
got
is my favorite.
it's a great one.
Yeah.
I love that emotion.
Yeah.
So
And to be clear, this is like super, super, super helpful.
oh my God, of course. And
Yeah.
so I'm gonna release this now for you all. So it's going to be under the bonuses for everybody. So it's just deep within here. However, within, I want you to do it from like, I know who they are and I'm going to figure it out. Like, it's just going to keep getting better. Everything is figure outable. Love that thought too, Sharon.
Yeah.
I'm like, so good. Like, we're going to figure it out even more as time goes on. For an A-line thing that is really helpful that I like to do when I'm writing copy is I would actually like, you can write your post to a person. And you can be like, Dear Missy, it's like I know it feels like you're speaking to a void, but it's like it
Mm.
can feel like you're speaking to a void, but it's like I want you to know that that is just a thought. It's optional, and here's something you can do to help. You know, it's like literally just writing that word. It's so fascinating. I started doing it in my emails, and I started just writing like it says "Dear person," like whatever they put their name in as. And it has been so much my copy, I write differently when I think I'm talking to just one person. So write dear name and write your post. And then you're gonna make it to that person's problem at like a specific time. And you'll actually, the copy is gonna get clearer too.
I believe that.
You
Yeah,
know,
I like that. Hmm.
good. I'm like, that was awesome. And you can go in and you can be like, if we think about what one person has, you can be like, it's like, what does Sally, what problem does she have with direction? Why doesn't she feel like she has direction? It's like, it's like, then you write, Dear Sally. It's like if you feel like you are lost in figuring out your direction for 2024, look no further. I've got a quick tip for you. It's like
Yeah.
it's like figure out 3 things that you want to accomplish in the year. And like I want you, it's like different than a resolution, something like that. Or like, let me tell you about like the wellness blueprint or something like that. It's like what problem does like I was gonna say Jessica. I was like, but not Jess. I was just like thinking that a
Yeah.
random. So I was like, what problem does I can only think of your names when I'm on here. What problem does Megan have with wellness? I'm like, I keep like, I'm like, what does Sharon have? What does Tammy have? And I'm like, I'm not really referring to you guys. I'm like literally just thinking of random names. But same thing here with decisions and mindset and like stress, being like, what is that one person? How could I help one person with their stress today?
Yeah, I like that. That's helpful.
So good.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan.
Of course, I love you guys so much. This is so much fun for me. I am so insanely proud of you. And I'm gonna see you guys a whole year from now. Just kidding. It's like I feel like a dad joke. I'm like, see you next year. But I love you guys so much. And I will see you next Tuesday, okay? All right.
Thanks
Bye,
so much. Bye,
everybody.
guys.